Hello and welcome to On the Corner, the official podcast, pitchlist.com. I'm your host, Eric Smolsky, joined as always on Monday, early evening, by the man himself, Nick Pollock. Nick, we're going to go fast and furious today, but we're going to give the people all the info.
Yes, we're going to do that. What is happening? Eric Smolsky, it's good to see you. We have
Good to
another
see you,
edition
too.
of this, and we've got some interesting changes that we have to talk about.
We do, and we're not even going to, there's no banter, people.
Nothing.
No banter. We're diving right in. Just to say, theme announcement.
Yes.
Right? Do you know what Thursday is, Nick?
No.
It's gonna be May.
I literally send that to all my friends every Wednesday or the day before.
So,
yeah,
the theme,
is
meme/gifs. So each tier is going to be named after a meme or gif that represents the mood, the feeling, the tone, the vibe, whatever you want to say. Of either the tier itself or maybe just a picture in the tier. It's going to be, I think it's a little bit of a tough one, but I wanted to give you a challenge today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So we'll see.
Yeah, go.
Mm-hmm. We've got only one minor change in tier one. It starts with starting pitcher number 1, Tarek Skubal. Number 2, Paul Skeens. Number 3, Garrett Crochet. Number 4, Zach Wheeler. Number 5, Jacob deGrom. And number 6, Cole Reagans. Logan Gilbert had been in this tier and is now on the IL, so it is just a 6-person tier. What is this tier called? Why is it called that?
All right. This is Shaquille O'Neal shimmying with a cat going back and forth. Because that's just how you feel having these guys on your team.
That's a great one, too. I love
it.
That
really
one.
Is.
We don't have to belabor the point. It's a super, super minuscule little thing, but why bump Skeens over Crochet?
I mean, come on, Skeens just was so good. Yeah. And like you just said, the Dodgers, and I'm a little bit worried about Crochet's lower extension. That's all.
And listen, Crochet even said before that last start, he feels like he's getting away with murder, that like he hasn't been pitching well and the results have been good. And so it's nice sometimes that pitchers will identify that, and maybe that means he's going to fix whatever is causing those issues. You're not upset if you have him on your team, obviously. Tier number 2 starts with starting pitcher number 7, Max Fried. Number 8, Michael King. Number 9, Hunter Green in the top 10. Number 10, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Number 11, Joe Ryan and his stupid sweepers. Number 12, Tyler Glasnow. Number 13, Dylan Cease. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
Oh my gosh. Why am I forgetting like every GIF I've ever used in my life? I'm like really upset at myself right now. I can't think of a single GIF. I mean, all right. This one is going to be Trey Turner sliding into home.
Smooth.
And it's just, you feel good. We know that Trey Turner isn't the stud that we always want him to be, I guess, but I don't know. Like, you're going to be every week just sliding into home, be like, yeah, that's right, I just scored.
Yeah.
Things are cool.
Up 4 spots for Joe Ryan. We had been worried about his secondaries earlier in the year. He even himself said those sweepers on Sunday were aided by the wind. Some of those like ridiculous ones
that's what I actually suggested. I did a video on it this morning, and I was like, you know what? You see the wind at his back.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me too much.
But I mean, a good performance, and the secondaries clicking for him is going to be huge for his overall success.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing he's been searching for, is a really reliable secondary pitch, and that was that here against the Angels. It won't be 28 inches of horizontal movement likely, but averaging at 18, we're really happy with it.
Yeah. It is Monday. It is a Monday early evening. We have no news on Glasnow.
Or Reagan, really?
I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so Reagan's I didn't move because of the groin injury thing. That was a minor one. He said, I asked him, I was like, are you right? He goes, yeah, I'm all good. I'm like, okay, fine. I don't know how much validity you should put into that, but he is getting moved to Wednesday. That's my understanding, that he's going to get that extra day off with Lorenzen going tomorrow because they can take advantage of that and so on and so forth. So fine. I know he hasn't been good the last 2. This might be the reason for it. I think we're just going to move past that. I understand. He had cramps and then he has now this, and it's just like we have nothing official, as you said. So I can't remove him yet. I'm not allowed to.
Right.
And I moved him down to here, recognizing that if he is fine, then like, okay, look, I think a lot of people want me to do different things at this point. And when I don't have information, I just put it in saying like, look, if it's this, it's that. If it's this, it's that. Like, do what you want, right?
Right.
That's all.
I think that's all we can do. We're speculating right now. I in like weekly lineup lock leagues. I did not start Tyler Glasnow this week. I'm not expecting him to pitch, but it's Monday and we don't know. And so he might very well get back on the mound, and you take the information as it comes when it comes.
Exactly.
Tier number 3 starts with number 14 Logan Webb, number 15 Jack Flaherty, number 16 Brian Woo, number 17 Shane Baz, number 18 Drew Rasmussen, number 19 Spencer Schwellenbach, number 20 Pablo Lopez, number 21 Shota Imanaga, and number 22 Hunter Brown. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This is the tier of Jim from The Office going, oh, so close, because they're all the pre-aces gonna ace tier. And honestly, I could see Logan Webb and Jack Flaherty getting into that tier next week.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Flaherty's curveballs and sliders looking just like we want them to. And Webb, honestly, with the sweeper involved, also some cutters, with that changeup and sinker to flesh out the full arsenal, I should say. He's been great. He's not just going after the changeup. He's not just going after the sweeper. Like, he's found the right rhythm between them, and he's firing all cylinders.
You obviously, there's a bump in the Flaherty, Woo, Baz, Rasmussen seem to move up over Schwellenbach, Lopez, Imanaga.
Yeah.
Again, they're all in the same tier. So we've always kind of said, like, within the tiers, it's a little bit of a pick your poison. Like, it's might be a slight preference. Baz, much better start last time out after the poor Yankees outing. Hunter Brown up 10 spots after your conversation with Eno about Hunter Brown. I got to say, I thought about it. That was one of my games that I was blogging for Roto World.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at the curveball usage, and I think it was the changeup actually in the last start.
That changeup was more impressive, and it was like 42% CSW or something like that. But I mean, to me, really, it's all right. Is your four seamer still at 97? It was 96.8, but that is a difference maker for Brown. We have seen across the seasons in the past that he has a pitch for a game. Sometimes it's the curveball, sometimes it's the changeup. Actually, if you read my roundups from last year, it's about he always finds something different and you never know what it is. Maybe it's the sinker day. And at the end of the day, I'm just like, you know what, Hunter Brown, you're throwing super hard and that's working. At the same time, he did get hit hard in that recent game. He allowed 7 hits. None of his pitches had an expected Wobacon underneath 300. And that's our 3D one that uses spray angle. So it's a little bit more accurate than your traditional Expo Bacon. And I can't believe I said Expo Bacon. I'm so sorry. It's Expo Bacon. All right. I had mine with eggs and pancakes and bacon.
I had some this morning.
There you go. And nice. So Hunter Brown to me still isn't this complete pitcher without that de facto hero pitch.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it is that four seamer a little bit more than it used to be. Fine. 22 is having such a great run that, like, I have to acknowledge that.
Yeah, I get it. And I know that, just in, not that you need defending, but in your defense, when people say that you're out on Hunter Brown, all those conversations were about, like, Hunter Brown as a top 10 starter, Hunter Brown as a top 15 starter, not like Hunter Brown being a good pitcher. It was about Hunter Brown figuring out who he was and creating a plan that set himself up for consistent success. And even though that last start was great, it's showing us that maybe Hunter Brown consistent success is my fastball good, and does one of my secondaries show up to help every outing? Yeah. And when you have a deep arsenal of pitches, it makes it more likely that can be. And maybe it's the curve, maybe it's the change, maybe it's something, whatever it is. But maybe that winds up being who he is. And that's okay if you have a deep arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. And at the beginning of the year, I gave that comp to Mitch Keller as like but I made sure I prefaced it as like the worst case comp, and I hate it.
Sure.
And I'm like, I didn't really see a good pushback from it. Say for like, yeah, velocity is different. Like, totally get that. Right. Mitch Keller's has fallen and Hunter Brown's went up. I mean, I don't think anybody expected him to be sitting 97 this year. So that was a worst case. I always expected Hunter Brown to be beneficial. I think I had him originally around 40 or something like that. And then as you see, now he's at 22. Like, I recognize that it's getting better for him. And here he is.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not gonna lean into that, any more than you were before, but I mean, we've seen Mitch Keller have great half seasons before, great
Yeah.
months. May and June last year, everybody was like, "Oh my God, this guy's electric."
Oh
So
man.
not saying it's going to happen for Hunter Brown, but
He
saying
just
it's
Mitch
still
Keller
early.
just took down the Dodgers.
Yeah, it happens.
Still don't want it.
Tier number 4 starts at number 23, Chris Sale. Number 24, Corbin Burns. Number 25, Framber Valdez. Number 26, Carlos Rodon. Number 27, Freddie Peralta. Number 28, Robbie Ray. Number 29, Ryan Pepio. What's this tier called? And why is it called that?
Oh man, I'm going back and forth on which one I want to do here. But
You have
this
multiple
is
options now. That's important.
what's that?
It's important. You couldn't think of any before, and now you have multiple options.
Well, I have multiple, but like I don't like any of them enough.
Okay.
I think it's the guy. No. I have to say that one. I have to say that one. It's the kid at the computer giving a thumbs up. He's like, okay, yep, thumbs up.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about it is you have to constantly say that to yourself, as these are cherry bombs. These are ones that like they will blow up at times and not, and you're like you getting something. Like, okay, thumbs up. All right, you're like giving yourself that, that inspiration again.
I get it. Yeah, I like it. I like all these guys. And really, there's not. I mean, Rodon hit my own computer here. Rodon is up 4 spots, but most of these guys are pretty much where you've always had them. So I don't know if you want to address anything with them. They pretty much seem like they've been consistent throughout.
It's so funny. Robbie Ray finally had his great start, and I don't move him. Why not? Because this is kind of what we hoped for. Right. Finally, like, I do want to address that there have been questions about like Robbie Ray's walk history in the past, and he's allowed all these walks and everything. Like, why do I think anything different? Because Robbie Ray in the past didn't have a high strike rate 4-seamer. And what really changed when he was a part of the Jays, then went to the Mariners, was that he found a way to finally throw 4-seamers in the zone effectively and consistently. So the other element that allows him to keep walks down is strikes on his slider, in fact, or curveball, just another number 2 pitch, as we were talking about before. And what's been really weird is that the slider's kind of abandoned him, or at least he's abandoned the slider. And it was very weird. And finally, we saw a start of him throwing the slider confidently, consistently through it, outing, and there you go. I also saw the changeup get 5 over 17 whiffs, which actually I don't think he deserved. I think he threw some pretty bad ones. Yeah. But we have a Jonah Heim like fishing for terrible ones in the dirt.
He does that sometimes.
But 4-seamer slider itself is a really good floor. And this is why I was in on Robbie Ray the way I was because I expected the slider to be more involved and have that 60% plus strike rate. We haven't really seen that for whatever reason. Now we have. And the reason I liked Robbie Ray on top of that was that should be the baseline. And then it's the curve and the changeup improving on top of it. And the situation in San Francisco, the whole thing feels like, oh man, this is a really consistent Holly, like how Carlos Rodon has been. I mean, that's pretty much what I expected from Robbie Ray is what Carlos Rodon has done. So I expect that to continue. And that's why he's still a top 30 starter.
And the Rodon success kind of stems back again from the changeup usage last year that we talked about I think it was in June, late June, that he kind of really started using that again.
Yeah, something like that.
And it has carried over. And so for me, that has always been a huge component of his success. And we talked about it first pitch Arizona as well.
Oh yeah.
We got a lot of movers in this next tier. So we're going to dive in. Tier number 5 starts at number 30, Nathan Eovaldi. Number 31, Sonny Gray. Number 32, Kodai Senga. Number 33, Seth Lugo. Number 34, Nick Lodolo. Number 35, Jesus Luzardo. Number 36, Aaron Nola. Number 37, Bailey Ober. Number 38, Christopher Sanchez. What's this tier called? Why is it called?
I'm just going to go to keep the thumbs up as I was baiting with before. So it's the guy that is like leaning out from the side of the door and then gives a big thumbs up to you. You know what I mean? Into the hallway.
Yeah, the guy he slides back in the chair.
Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah, right. Has like black hair, I think. And it's just like, all right, thumbs up. You expect this all to be fine and you don't really want to think about it anymore.
There are a lot of movers in here though. And not a substantial amount. A lot of guys, maybe it's injury or whatever, but Nick Lodolo up 7 spots. I will say Nick Lodolo will appear in my Wednesday article, my starting pitcher news article. I have not yet fully dug in. I've noticed some things.
Ooh.
That I wanted to do a little more research on. That's going to be kind of part of my day tomorrow. But I did notice just a change in the pitch mix overall, just utilizing pitches differently, including I believe it was using the sinker a lot more.
Yep.
Also noticed it appears to be a tightening up of the arsenal a little bit, like the slider movement. And that has a lot to do with the zone rates.
I mean,
I
I mean,
believe.
curveball is what I believe you mean, not slider.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Just yeah.
And that could be zone rate. Now, remember, Nick Lodolo did not have a full healthy season last year. So when you look at like, hey, his zone rates are up from last year, it's like, okay, but where do they compare to a healthy Nick Lodolo? But it does seem like from what we saw last year, there seems to be a tightening up of the movement profile in order to be a little more effective in the zone, which has been important for him because he wasn't like a poor command guy in the minor leagues. But then we saw like, him push like an 8% walk rate one year, 9% walk rate one year. And you're kind of like, that's not you.
Right.
But the strikeouts haven't been there this year. So maybe that's like a give and take thing.
What is kind of funny about the strikeouts with Lodolo is that he had 8 in his first 3 games combined and then just had 9 last night.
Yeah.
Against Coors, right? 9 in last night and then 9 in the previous 2 games combined. I think that'll get better for him. And the way I see Lodolo is someone who's embracing his changeup more. What the biggest change we could say in the pitch mix is really against right-handers. It's fewer four-seamers, more of embrace of a changeup. I also wonder a lot about the sinker four-seamer differentiation because it's very close. Like they have nearly the same run. In fact, in some cases, a four-seamer gets more lateral movement than the sinker does, but the sinker just gets 4 inches extra drop. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know. Like it's like Manaya's sinker / four-seamer or Steven Matz or whatever it is, right? These sidewinding lefties always get weird designations for their fastballs. But that changeup has become more of a game changer for him. And I love the idea that he now actually has a track record, or like not a track record, just a consistency start to start, right? They can do that. I will mention the schedule has been very favorable for Nick Lodolo. Giants at Brewers, which by the way, it's like a 12% strikeout bump in Milwaukee. It's the second highest outside of Seattle.
Okay.
You have also going to the Giants. You have hosting Seattle, at Miami, and at Coors. And guys, you can actually start guys at Coors. That lineup is just so bad that you can do it. Our PLV projections create the strength of schedule based on the projections of everything. And it says, yeah, out of the 5 rankings, 1 being the best, 4 is for at Coors. It's kind of
wild. I mean, I still think it depends a little bit on the pitcher, but yes, the like top tier pitchers are the guys who are stronger. I could see doing it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to convince myself completely because it is somewhat of a small sample, only half of a season. Also, they haven't had enough games in Coors yet, so maybe they're not conditioned yet. But it is very fascinating to see that. But yeah, with Lodolo, I just see a guy who's finally getting an opportunity to be his best self over a long period of time, and I'm in on that.
Yep. Slight movement profile change with the changeup and the changeup being down 1 mile an hour. But I will say, I spoke last week with Aaron Nola, and he mentioned specifically that it's still like for him, it's still early in the season, and he thinks that mile and a half kind of like velocity differences, we don't want to read too much into it because it could just be guys ramping up. When you're ramping up on one pitch, you tend to be ramping up on all pitches. That was something he talked about with his curveball. So that's something like I'm trying to tell myself in my analysis. So I'm sharing it here as well as like, I see Nick Lodolo is down 1 mile an hour on his changeup. I see that has changed his movement profile. That may not be intentional. That may just be ramping up, warming up. He's going to bring that velocity up and the movement profile will, become a little bit closer to normal.
Absolutely.
But you also had Aaron Nola up 7 spots in this tier.
Yeah. So Aaron Nola did something really fun. And you might have caught it. I'm sure you did. I'm going to tell you all about it after this break. So Eric, let me tell you. You're right. By the way, they're put on private right now for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, hi, Twitter. What's going on? Okay. So Aaron Nola had himself a fun game the other day against the Cubs. And what did he do differently in Wrigley? He threw 36% cutters to right-handers. And that's cool. Oh, man, you could probably tell me more about that, about his mentality change maybe with it, throwing fewer sinkers and four-seamers against right-handers and utilizing a really good asset to make sure that he can sneak in those fastballs better. And of course, the curve is still great because it's always great. So that made me more encouraged. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because I talked to him and he was coming off of a start where the sinker inside to righties had worked really well for him, and I was talking to him about that. And as you would expect from somebody who's been in the league for 8 years, he was just kind of like, it's what feels good on that day.
Yeah.
Sometimes the sinker arm side feels good. Sometimes the sinker glove side feels good. I go with what feels good. I asked him if it was specific to like what feels good in the bullpen before the game, and he said oftentimes no, because oftentimes when you get on the mound in the game, things just feel a little bit different, either
Right.
because the mound is different or because the energy of the game is different, and you kind of trust yourself and trust your catcher, and you judge by how things are going early on, and then you just stick with what works.
Mhm.
And so that's the interesting thing about the cutter is like, who knows if that was an intentional thing against the Cubs? Who knows if that was an intentional thing based on like a bullpen session midweek? Or who knows if he threw a couple in the first inning and was like, oh, this feels good today. And then
Right.
was like, I'm going to just run with it. And that's where like, I think you need, especially with somebody like Nola who has said that out loud, you need to then say, okay, what happens in the next start? Does this become a trend, or does it become something that was strictly day dependent? But I do think that when you are a pitcher who has enough in the arsenal that you can do that, where you could say, hey, what feels good today? And you typically have the command. I mean, he talked about how his command has kind of gotten away from him early this year, but typically he is a good command guy where you can say, I'm going to throw the sinker glove side today. I'm going to throw the sinker arm side today. I'm going to switch up the cutter, and you can have success with that. It gives you the flexibility to adjust on that day.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Also, it's nice to see a tick up for Nola right after that
Yeah.
too.
And just, Nick alluded to it, but I did speak to him last week. That article is over on NBC Sports.
Go read
I
it,
also
guys. It's
tweeted
great.
it out. You should go check it out. Also super, super nice guy, Aaron Nola. Just
No
hat
surprise.
tip to somebody like struggling who is just like taking the time to more like answer questions in detail, not just like give you the bare minimum, but like
Yeah.
fully dive in on thought process and all of that. And just like kudos to him and thanks for his time. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
we'll move
great.
to tier 6 right now. Well, I guess I should say Christopher Sanchez, any worry? Forearm strain?
No
Or
idea. I put in the
he
notes
never
like, we
felt
don't know.
anything
Is
like
he
that
fine? Is he
before.
not? I don't know. When we get news and we know for sure, I will change things next week.
He never felt anything like that before, but then they didn't get imaging. It's like, okay.
Okay.
Tier number 6 starts with number 39, Bryce Miller. Number 40, Sandy Alcantara. Number 41, Tanner Bybee. Number 42, Luis Castillo. Number 43, Nick Pivetta. And number 44, Mackenzie Gore. What's the tier called? Why is it called that?
This is your favorite gift. This is Larry David with his well. No, that's not a pretty. It's not a pretty. It's him going half and half with his hand.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
That one's
It's
good.
him
Too.
going back and forth. He doesn't know what he likes or not. Because this is the tier of like, you see Sandy Alcantara and Bryce Miller and Tanner Bybee, but how good are they going to be this year? Same with Luis Castillo. Nick Pivetta is on a run. He's never had an ERA under 4 in his career. It is also in San Diego where there are fewer home runs in April. We know this. And then it gets harder as the season goes on. So be a little bit worried about that. And Mackenzie Gore, who, Mackenzie Gore, I really wish that slider is just everything he needs, but you just got to spot your pitches the right hitters better, please. Oh my gosh, you could be so good. I just don't want you to be appeased anymore. Poor execution, awesome stuff, guy.
Question about Sandy Alcantara today. James Shiano and I do our weekly Q&A
Yes, you do.
Mondays at noon over on the NBC Sports Roto World YouTube channel, which I will tweet out all the time. But somebody said, can I hold Sandy Alcantara in a 12-team league? Or is it time to move on? Our takeaway was basically you kind of should have expected this in a certain extent early on from Alcantara. The velocity is within the range of what he's been before. The shapes are within the range of what he's been before. And the command of the secondaries has been off. And that's not out of the realm. That's very common for guys coming off Tommy John.
Right.
In particular, the slider command is a little bit all over the place right now. So I'm not saying like, hey, buy low, go get Alcantara. He's going to be a 2 ERA pitcher the rest of the way. But like, I don't think you're giving up because the stuff under the hood looks like Sandy Alcantara with poor command.
Yeah, and what I really like about doing the list each week is I get a good understanding of really what are all the options. What are the alternatives for everybody? Are there just so many? Oh my gosh, you have to get this guy and you have to get this one and that one and this one.
No.
And right now it's at a little bit of a lull.
Yeah.
Where some of the exciting guys like Roop, Bubic and Meyer and Jackson Job and Dustin May are not exciting right now, but it's just like one time they are. We have Leiter coming back, and who knows? Is it Libertor maybe, or Grant Holmes is looking like that, right? A lot of the names that I've been into just had a really bad week.
Yeah.
But I still think I'm excited about them. And with Alcantara, you're not in a position, especially with it being the end of April, where you'd give up on 5 months. If you, as you mentioned, if you look at the skill set in general, yeah, this is pretty close actually to what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, bench him against the Dodgers. You have to ask yourself, am I going to start him after that Dodgers start? If the answer is yes, then great, right? I would not be dropping Sandy Alcantara at the moment. It might be a tough moment, but these are the kind of guys that you do stash.
Fully agreed. You alluded to starting pitcher number 45. He starts tier number 7. It's Landon Rupp. Number 46, Tyler McGill. Number 47, Max Meyer. Number 48, Gavin Williams. Number 49, Jackson Job. Number 50, Chris Bubic. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This is the guy drinking in fire saying this is fine. Because this is, this is chaos. This is, I think this is good. I think these are the players that you want to have for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Landon Rupp just didn't have his curveball. Okay.
Sure.
Tyler McGill is showcasing that four-seamer slider well. There are signs of it not being consistent, and it can be so frustrating, as you've described so many times. We'll see him at the park, and you get it. But I hope it's fine now, and he just had another great strikeout performance, and we just got to keep going through it.
Yeah.
Max Meyer just had a horrific day, and I mentioned this inside of the notes. These guys who have been successful and have a bad day get more scrutiny than those in the top 30 because you're not allowed to. You have to be the ones who are just so good now. You're the next wave of studs. And now everyone thinks that your success was a fluke while this is actually who you are. And I'm trying to tell everybody, look, they are going to get the runway after this. They're not just going to start terribly for another month or two.
Right.
They are still the same guys, and everybody has bad starts. And I'm not ready to say that Max Meyer isn't a command guy. Is he a 14 strikeout a night guy? No, that was the Reds. I get it.
Right.
I get it. That was him at his very best. But this was him completely off, and I don't think that's going to stick around.
And that was something that we also talked about on the Q&A today. People were saying, are you giving up on Max Meyer? And it's like, we have to find that middle ground, as you mentioned. He wasn't the pitcher. He wasn't a one whip, 10, 11 strikeout a game.
He wasn't a top 10 starter, yes.
But he also isn't the guy. I don't believe he's the guy who he showcased in his last start. I think it's somewhere in the middle. And I think he could still wind up being a top 40 starter this year. Entirely possible. But is he a top 20 guy? Probably not going to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, Gavin Williams then too. Also, it's funny. He showed the cutter, but he didn't need it because it was finally the first start that he had sliders and curves for strikes. So I'm happy it's there. It makes me actually more encouraged on the day that those aren't there. The cutter will show up. But so that's why he's hanging around here. Jackson Job, we literally didn't see pitch. So I didn't touch him. But you see +7, Nick. Guys, I had to move Grant Holmes. I had to move Dustin May. I had to move Zach Gallen. We also had Spencer Strider and Logan Gilbert get removed from the list. All of these rings are relative. Please. You see the number and you think that I just went, +7. No, it's all about everyone else shifting too. So Jackson Job did not move. Chris Bubic actually pulled down underneath him because, I recognize that his command can be more finicky. And this was actually a situation that I thought Bubic would excel, which was against the Astros with a right-handed heavy lineup, even though he's a lefty. His changeup is where he's gotten a lot of his outs and has had effectiveness with that four-seamer. Nope, didn't happen. He didn't have good command. Fine. But again, I don't think that's who Chris Bubic is. The velocity is still over 92. So it's those kind of things where it's always difficult. It's like the hardest thing we do as analysts is saying, great, when they have a good start, is it real? When they have a bad start, is that real? Right? We don't quite know. We just have to look at the skill set and try to make our best assessment of who are they actually. And right now, I'm like, I liked them before. I'm going to keep going with them?
Just so happy he threw 5 cutters. Just because I feel like I'm not taking crazy pills. I'm like, all right, it's there. Maybe he needed
Gavin
to
Williams,
solidify
guys.
the
Yeah,
feel of some of the other pitches, but I was like, thank God, man.
I know. Me too. I got tweets about it. And I was like, thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tier number 8 starts with a surprise. Number 51, Zach Gallen. Number 52, Brandon Fott. Number 53, Dustin May. Number 54, Justin Verlander. Number 55, Reese Olson. Number 56, Clay Holmes. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This is the one of Jim Carrey typing furiously on the keyboard
Mhm.
because I feel like I have to do that to defend the Zach Gallen one at 51.
Do you though? I mean, are people like Zach Gallen has
I
looked
don't
so
know.
good?
I don't know. It's the first one of the big names that I've dropped out of the top 50. Right?
Sure.
Like this
Yeah.
was someone who was just like, oh, he's just supposed to be a guy I hold on to for the entire year, etc. But let's be real. I mean, Zach Gallen's four-seamer is more hittable than ever. The velocity has dropped. He's relying on called strikes, but the contact is still bad. The curveball has to be there every single time, and it hasn't. The changeup and slider are just not that great. Sometimes they are, but really, this is very, very precarious with Zach Gallen. And it's a case where I'm not saying he should not be on any teams. Like I have him 51. It still means that like I want to have Justin Verlander on my teams. He's at 54. But I recognize that, yeah, this could get worse and worse for Gallen. And I just really want him to have that quintessential run that he always has.
Yeah, I get it. We were hesitant on it to begin with. I never thought that it would get to the point where you almost have Brandon Fott ranked higher than Zach Gallen. But
it's wild, isn't it? But Fott changed himself. I keep saying it every week, but he's got changeups and curves.
He did.
It's great.
He changed himself. Good for him. Yeah, can't knock it. Who else in this tier? Let's see.
I mean, Dustin May dropped. Yeah,
Dustin May dropped. But listen, it doesn't surprise me. I was talking about how he wasn't getting swings and misses, and then he had that huge game where he got so many strikeouts. But I think that inconsistency is a little bit of who he is. And so,
yeah, it was a really bad day with the sinker.
You could have maybe put him in tier 7 with like the Max Myers, Gavin Williams.
I thought about it,
and that would make sense. But
I kind of realized that I think the package is already kind of there with those guys a bit. And Dustin May, they're still more expected to grow still.
Right. Reese Olson up 19 spots. This still feels to me like, I know in the spring we were like, oh my God, is the fastball velocity up? And if the fastball velocity is up, are we going to remove his biggest weakness? And that hasn't stayed. And to me, it's still just like the changeup and slider can both be elite. And when they are, he's going to be able to carve up anybody. And when they're not, he's not. And that maybe just is who he is.
Yeah, that's why it keeps going back and forth a bit. I mean, it's really between two Toby/Holly tiers. Are you dependable or are you just good enough? And the fact that Reese Olson has that ceiling with his changeup and his slider, because that changeup can be so filthy, does make me more inclined to say, okay, I'll put you in that Holly tier, which hints at that 25% strikeout rate. Also, the fact that even though Reese Olson is going away from righties as opposed to inside, he's nailing that with his two-seamer. And that's cool. Sorry, sinker. But yeah, it is whatever, guys. No, it is really nice to see him do that. So I also recognize that Reese Olson has had a rough patch. Generally, when you see a start like this that is so demonstrably good, it does mean something has affected him and now he gains his confidence back. And often you do see some sort of run with it as well. So the one that I actually really wrestled with is the start of tier 10, and we'll talk about him soon. But he's the one that keeps flipping back and forth. But remember, oftentimes with these tiers, it's either a 2-tier skip, not a 1. So Reese Olson wouldn't go into tier 9. He would go into tier 10, if not in tier 8, because that's the kind of guy that he is. You have the more 6-inning pitchers in those two, and while you have the more frizzle types of take chances, make mistakes, get messy in tier 9.
Talk to me very briefly about Verlander, because it's not like he's been electric. And I guess, 54 isn't a really high ranking.
Yeah.
But there's some guys below him that I think would generally be considered to be higher upside plays.
Oh, sure. 5 ERA, 140 whip is just like, what are you doing, Nick?
Right.
He has the 29th best swing strike rate. At 14 to 15%. It's because the slider and the four-seamer are really good right now. And I would think, when we talk about veterans, the reason that they always get a little bit of a bump is because generally they are pitchers who can figure things out better than others. And when you have a skill set that is better than it used to be with Verlander, generally I
Sure.
think, hey, this should actually be a solid play the rest of the year. That's just kind of the way I see it. I think those ratios are getting worsened by some bad outings. And recently, he's only allowed 3 earned runs in his last 2 games against the Angels and the Rangers. Only 3 walks in that time too, 12 innings. It seems like, oh yeah, you've kind of found a groove with that 4-seamer and the slider, and hopefully the changeup and curve follows suit as well. So I'm a fan of this with Verlander. I think it's a great team context too.
Okay. Let's hope it plays out and works in his favor there. Tier number 9 has some interesting youngish names, breakout names. Let's say breakout because there's some old guys in here. It starts with number 57, Jake Irvin. Number 58, Matthew Liberatore. Number 59, Jack Leiter. Number 60, Grant Holmes. Number 61, Shane Smith. Number 62, Lucas Giolito off the IL this week, starting against the Blue Jays. Number 63, Andrew Abbott. And number 64, Taj Bradley. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This is Elmo in the Fire.
Okay.
You know the one. You know that. Oh gosh, yeah. Elmo just
Up.
Sorry, Jeff
embracing
it. Fire. Yes.
Yeah.
This is Jake Irvin who's throwing curves like he did last year in the first half when he had that amazing run.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done for 3 starts now. Actually, I remember after the first one, I remember saying, guys, he gets Pittsburgh now. Just go. Just don't think about anything. Just do it. And then he went against, and then actually it was his 4th. He did that one, and then he went to Coors. It's like, maybe I don't want to do that one, but he killed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went against the Phillies, and he killed it. It's like, can we stop? Or maybe it was the Mets. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. It was great. You just keep going with Jake Irvin right now. Just do that.
Yeah, I get it. We've talked about that with his curve, and when his curve is on, he's good. Matthew Liberatore, another guy I'm going to cover in my article on Wednesday. They're just some interesting, no like overhaul, but just some interesting changes. In particular, he's changed the movement profile slightly on his cutter and his changeup. And as a lefty, cutter and changeup are super important to help mitigate hard contact by righties. In particular, the cutter, he seems to have sacrificed velocity for a little bit more cut, which is good because the ICR is way down so far. And again, we're dealing with small samples, but it makes sense that if your cutter is cutting more and you're using it more inside to righties, it will jam them more and you'll get more weak contact. And so the strikeout rate, the swinging strike rate on it has dipped, but you'll kind of take that from Liberatore because you're not hoping that he's going to be a 10 strikeout guy. You just don't want him to get bombed. And so if he can use that pitch to mitigate hard contact, like there's some value there. And that rotation is a mess. So as long as he's pitching fine, he's going to stay in there.
Yeah, definitely. Liberatore actually was throwing sliders really just endlessly against lefties and then decided to add the cutter on this past start, which was fine. It was good. So I'm okay with it. And as long as he keeps that 95 mile per hour fastball, sometimes it goes down to 94-ish and then 93. And that's when that gets really frustrating. But as long as the slider and the 4-seamer are doing well, and of course, the cutter too, things should be fine. But I'm not totally sold that he's just going to run away with this and be consistent. We've seen ups and downs from him across the career. So I'm a little weirded out by that.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't think he's breaking out per se. And then Giolito, interesting to watch him on Tuesday. I think we've just written this dude's obituary a little too early.
Oh, yeah. I'm so in on this. This is funny.
Also, like we've talked about this a bunch because he didn't pitch last year, but like the first half of 2023 was actually not that bad.
Oh yeah, he was totally getting by with it. I remember him being in the 40s and being like,
he was a 340 ERA, 26% strikeout rate. 340 and it's like, okay,
what I remembered.
Yeah. That's fine. And then he gets traded to the Angels across the country. There was some off-field stuff. The second half of the season was brutal. He looked good in spring for Boston last year before blowing out his arm. He's not like a 39-year-old dude. Like he could very well be a very usable, decent starting pitcher. So.
He was also looking good in spring of 2024. We were really hyped about it.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt. And that was that. I was very encouraged. I had him in the 50s in the preseason before the hamstring.
Right.
This is a perfect opportunity. And I really can't express enough how you have to take into account everything else. Think of the other players and say, yeah, Lucas Giolito could easily be like I don't know, Brandon Font for you. Like
Mhm.
you could turn to that consistent quality start guy with a strikeout per inning, a 3.5 ERA with a 112, 115 whip. Like that's a possibility. As much as
Right.
you want to say that he hasn't done that in in a while, I get it, but he was a better version of himself in the spring. Take a
Yes.
chance on that. Don't. This is what I say: add him to the IL. Don't start him. Don't activate him and drop someone else first. Just let him sit in the IL. Make this a true still ill. And then if it's bad, if it's like 91, then we don't want this. We want him to be back in 93 at least, sitting there. And
Yeah.
especially in an adrenaline fueled return, because he has not pitched in the majors since 2023.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal for him. We should expect to see that. The changeup in the slider command, I'm less concerned about. I think that's something that will get better over time if it's not there right away. But if he's not able to pump up that velocity a little bit in that first one, then I might be a little concerned. But
Yeah.
for the most part, like this should be good. And I feel that those who are holding on to these overperforming ratio guys in tier 10 or tier 12 instead are just not going to be happy with their choices come June, July.
It's also the first time we've seen him in a major league start in a Red Sox uniform. And he had spoken very directly about they had a very clear plan for changes for him to make. This will be the first time we get to see like what those maybe are. And
Absolutely.
so it's a super interesting start to watch and pay attention to, even if you're not putting him in your lineup. And then we're going to start tier 10 with somebody that Nick said he deliberated so much, but we're going to do that after this break. Do you want to talk about somebody in this tier?
So, Eric, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Jack Leiter. Is Jack Sippo coming back? I'm really excited about that. You should grab him on your teams. The first inning was really bad. Second, third, fourth-ish, 1 out in the fourth were better. He should be good moving forward, at least maybe after one more start, but I feel good about that. But Grant Holmes, down to 60. And this is one of those guys that like has just been bad for you, and I've been really encouraged by him, and I thought, no, this guy should be good. The biggest problem is that the curveball hasn't been there, and he's also had a rough schedule, but really, you should have a better curveball, Grant Holmes. The slider was better, just didn't have that friend to help him in the last outing. Also, Eugenio Suarez hit 3 home runs off of him, so that's whatever. It's not like he pitched amazingly outside of that, but still, like, okay. And what I do think from Grant Holmes is that over time, he should find that curveball back. We've seen this in the past where a guy has a season with 2 excellent secondaries and then one of them falls off a little bit, but usually it comes back over time. He has a better fastball now. He has a really good leash with Atlanta as well. They've let him go over 90 pitches. So Grant Holmes in time should be very beneficial. It's just right now is not fun. And I totally understand everyone who's upset about this and wants to drop him. You can drop him by all Johns. Go ahead. But I personally am going to hold on to Grant Holmes because I do think that there is something here that you will want to have by May 15th at the latest.
Is that a John Means thing?
Yeah, it is a John Means thing. Yeah.
Oh my God, you are ridiculous. That's great. That's great. Props to you. Tier number 10 starts with David Peterson, number 65. Number 66, Michael Wacha. Number 67, Casey Mize. Number 68, Chris Bassett. Number 69, Matthew Boyd. Number 70, Clark Schmidt. Number 71, Merrill Kelly. And number 72, Brian Bayo. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This GIF is, oh man, I don't think is most GIFs are like really negative or not or whatever. I would say this one is, man. Okay, hold on. This is a tough one. You got a tough one for me this week. No.
I did. I challenged you a little bit.
Yeah,
I get it.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Sail Cat. And if you don't know Sail Cat, that's the cat at the edge of the sill looking normal and then jumping off when they say sail. And it's gets me every single time. The reason I'm saying that is because that's my go-to video to show anyone on YouTube. It's always there for you. It's stable. But there are also times that these guys will just be like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And you want to be like that cat, which by the way, the cat's fine. Cat's totally fine. And you should be fine too. Okay. Let's not go further into this. But that's, this is Sail Cat.
I get that. I actually like that video a lot too.
Oh,
you had alluded earlier to David Peterson and struggling to find your ranking of David Peterson.
Yes. David Peterson is one of those that I feel should be the stable arm, but can he actually be like a 115 whip, 110 whip guy? Is he going to have both his changeup and slider working together? Like I review the games. I'm like, yeah, that gets us as good. There was times like, yeah, of course, he's got 7 feet of extension. Nick, his four seamer and sinker are working, and then he's got the slider and he gets whiffs and changeups over here. But it's never, I never watch it and go, oh man, yeah, David Peterson. I never get that. So I'm just constantly confused at how I feel about it. So I just have him as a Toby. I feel as if I'm in the position where if I drop Peterson to go get Giolito or Shane Smith or Jack Leiter or whatever, and I'm like, that's fine. I'm okay with this. I don't feel like I'm going to regret it at the end of the year. But then again, maybe I will. Maybe David Peterson's going to get into that footing on the rubber and just nail it every single time. And all of a sudden becomes like a top 40 guy. And he should have been in that top, that tier 8 tier of just every single time. Quality start, easy.
Sure.
Good stuff.
Gotta remember, I mean, not a conversation for now, but you're eventually getting Manaea back and Montes back, and Peterson has pitched out of the bullpen before, and so there is that ticking clock a little bit.
Oh, no
for
way.
him.
Griffin Cannon goes. And Montes, I don't know. And there'll be another pitcher that's bad.
Listen, there are always injuries. There'll be an injury. It is likely going to happen. You dropped Chris Bassett 20 spots.
Yeah, the curveball's gone. It's really annoying. And then I also realized that his sinker and cutter, it's like sinker, cutter, curve is what he does. It's not as much of a kitchen sink as it used to be. And that's kind of weird. It's like sinkers and cutters are like really the foundation at the moment. The curveball was so good against Atlanta, and then it wasn't for 2 starts now. And it's not necessarily saying that I'm just completely out in Bassett. It's just saying you're not part of tier 8. You're part of tier 10. It looks really dramatic, but it's not that dramatic, guys. Okay? It's just down to being a Toby.
Yeah, I get it. Brian Bayo driving me crazy. I messaged you on the Discord yesterday. I was like, 5 shutout innings against the Guardians. He's up 9-0.
Welcome.
He's got like
Bayo
the bottom
experience.
of the order. He's got the bottom of the order up, and he's throwing 3-2 backdoor sliders that are missing. Then you get a walk and a bloop and a 3-run bomb to Nolan Jones, and you're like, what? Just attack the strike zone. And what's funny, I still highly recommend everybody watch, the Clubhouse or the Season or whatever Netflix called it, the Season with the Red Sox. Brian Bayo is one of the featured players. I found it interesting that there are a lot of conversations with Alex Cora, Craig Breslow, and Andrew Bailey behind the scenes about Bayo, and they're like, he's just not attacking. We can't get him to attack. He's just not like, they're talking about it behind closed doors. And within the context of the show, a lot of it is talking about his family who can't get visas to come from the Dominican Republic, and that there's a lot of things off the field that are playing with his mental state. But I found it interesting that they were saying they want to get him to be aggressive and attack in the zone with his secondaries. And then I'm watching this game and he's not aggressive in the zone. And you're just like, is this just a problem he's going to have? And maybe it is. And then I will adjust my love for him if need be.
I remember last year, it's like you have 2 out of 3 working every time.
Yep.
And it's just, you can't get all 3.
It's tough.
It's so annoying.
It's tough. It's tough to figure out what to do with number 73, who starts tier 11. It's Roki Sasaki. Number 74, Kevin Gossman. Number 75, Bowden Francis. Number 76, Jordan Hicks. Which you did. I know you did that intentionally, by the way. Number 77, Ryan Gusto. Number 78, Tyler Maui. Number 79, Tony Gonsolin. Number 80, Jeffrey Springs. Number 81, Yusei Kikuchi. Number 82, Luis L. Ortiz. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This is the baby running into the room, then making the oh no face and running straight back.
Okay. Love it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, these are the guys that, like, you still hold on to and you maybe shouldn't. And I feel so weird ranking them this low because Roki Sasaki, right? Like, how is he so down?
What was that fastball velocity? But then he said it wasn't a big deal. Like, that was what he wanted, but he was down like 3 miles an hour. And you're kind of like,
well, it's not even that to me. That's crazy. I mean, yeah, I think it was 94 or so, 93.8 maybe, something like, whoa, okay. But it wasn't even that. Actually, I think he landed on 96 by the end of it. It's his lack of third pitch. Roki Sasaki tried to throw sliders in this, 22 of them, and he had a sub 50% strike rate. And you can even see while pitching, it's like one of the rare times that I could see less extension by pitch type, because it's kind of like he's casting it like a curveball with the way it comes out far too early. and he's not really getting out like a gyro and really trying to like whip the towel.
Sure.
It's like a 7+ foot extension on the four seamer, and then it's like 6.8 on the slider. And like, oh man, I get it, I see it. It's just not a fun thing to watch. And the fact of the matter is that Sasaki has a four seamer that can be like up to like 99 at times, right? Can be 98, and a splitter that we all know how good that can be. But neither of them are super well commanded. And every single time that we've seen a four-seamer splitter kind of arm, you either have to be peak Kevin Gosman, like peak,
who is not peak Kevin Gosman right now,
and he's not. And also, that splitter was the most consistent splitter I've ever seen.
Sure.
Like even Tanaka slider was a neutralizer, right? Same with Maeda, slider was a neutralizer, the buffer pitch in between the bridge. Everybody has a bridge pitch.
Yeah.
And you don't have one with Sasaki right now. Also with a fastball that just doesn't get whiffs. He doesn't utilize his extension well enough with it. It's not, the whole thing is driving me up the wall. He should throw a sinker. I'm not even asking for a cutter. I would love a cutter. I'm just not going to ask for it. Just throw a sinker off of it. That can do wonders for him. So I can't get behind this. There's also throwing in like the whole babying of him, which the Dodgers have acknowledged. Right now, I just feel as if he's not giving you enough. He just didn't take advantage of the Pirates. If you didn't know the name, you'd be completely out. Completely.
Probably. Yeah. Jordan Hicks, 94 miles an hour on the sinker on the last start.
Ugh. Oh, it drove me insane. I mean, it's what's bonkers to me about this is he actually had a decent outing, like 200 runs in 5 innings. And he had decent amount of strikes and all, but like it wasn't even well commanded in 94 in that sinker. And what has gotten me into this is that Hicks generally actually throws good sinkers, and when it's at 97, 98, 99, he just needs one of the splitter to be strike heavy so that he'll just get outs. He'll just at the very least get outs, if not also get whiffs with those things, right? And that's why I've been continuously in on this, even though he's had actually kind of rough schedule. But now it's just, oh man, you're not giving me enough to hold on at the moment. I don't know what the velocity is going to be next time at this point. And I'm just like, all right, I get it. We can move on.
And then you got the maddening start of Luis L. Ortiz, who had 20 whiffs against the Yankees in 4 1/3, but gave up 4 runs and walked 5. You're like, what?
Is four-seamer is the reason I've been getting excited.
Right.
It had a sub 50% strike rate.
But then he was like dominant with the changeup, which he's never done.
Yeah, the changeup. He doesn't throw a changeup.
Right.
That was so cool though. I love that stuff. I love when all of a sudden a guy, like I'm watching something, go, what? You don't throw a changeup, and all of a sudden he throws like a ton of them and gets all these whiffs on it. I think he had 5 whiffs on the changeup, slider, and cutter individually in this outing.
I think so. Yeah.
It was so cool, but also Luis L. Ortiz, we don't know what we're going to get from you.
Right.
Tony Gonsolin and Ryan Gusto are here though, and that's kind of cool.
Ryan Gusto's not just only four seam, maybe a little bit of sweeper.
I know. Why I say only four seam? Because that's the only thing that's good.
Right. Well, the sweeper is maybe average.
Right. That's not good.
Right.
But the sweeper hopefully becomes that pitch you can rely on, which is great. But then is it lefties just four seamers? Maybe. I don't know. We see that sometimes when Kevin Williams and that works. Okay, fine. But it is a good four seamer. It's not the greatest one ever. It is 94 with really good vert, and he keeps it upstairs effectively. And that's good precision, and I like that. With Tony Gonsolin, it's just a good situation. I have no idea what his skill set is. And I never really been in on Gonsolin. I remember him being the guy that I just couldn't get behind.
Sure.
When he had his like 206 BABIP season and like 213 ERA for the Dodgers. I was like, this is just really weird. And he hasn't been, of course, the same guy since. Coming back from Tommy John, it just feels I'm actually a little bit more interested in Ben Kasparius.
Let's get him in that rotation.
Well, he's just not ready to be a starter that's productive. So that's why he's not on the list. It's like 3.2 innings or 3.1 with 54 pitches. And is Glasnow on the IL, Eric? So it's going to take some time for Kasparius to be that guy. Sure. But I think he has a lot more potential than Tony Gonsolin.
Agreed with you on that one. Tier number 12 starts with number 83, Nick Martinez. Number 84, Walker Buehler. 85, Jose Soriano. 86, Will Warren. 87, Brady Singer. 88, James Tyone. 89, Eduardo Rodriguez. And 90, Luis Severino. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This is the image of that kid who's just completely like the flat-lipped, just bored out of his mind, taking the class photo. It's like, it's that
yeah.
kid, it's that guy.
Okay.
He's got like a red shirt on or something. Yeah, it's just completely boring, Toby.
Yeah, I'm even trying to think about like we don't really need to talk about any of these guys, I guess.
I mean, Tyone's on a good Vargas rule.
He is, sure.
He's
Yes,
faced really tough
Tyon.
opponents and has done well, so we're gonna keep going with it. But I don't really expect it to last too long.
There's a little bit of that in the last tier. We could end by just talking about a couple of those guys, but starts at tier number 13, or tier number 13 starts at number 91, Tyler Anderson, number 92, Andrew Heaney, number 93, Colin Ray, number 94, Jose Quintana, number 95, Jose Barrios, number 96, Ronald Blanco, number 97, Jack Hanowitz, number 98, Hayden Wesneski, number 99, Tobias Myers, and number 100, Eric Fetty. What's the tier called? Why is it called that?
Eric, I'm really proud of you. It's 13 for 13, remembering the tier. What was it called?
Thank you. I don't know that I've missed any this year.
I'm just saying, I just want to give
except for the whole first episode.
I want to give you full praise.
Missed it. I missed it.
This is the gif of the girl going down the slide and waving at you.
Okay.
As you're going to see them once and then never again. These are all your streamers for the week.
Except Andrew Heaney stayed on your roster for a long time.
He's a Vargas rule right now. He gets the Cubs. Are you gonna abide by the rule or not?
It's tough. What do you? So I'm not starting him today against the Cubs, but I'm not cutting him.
Okay.
I think he's pitched well enough to remain on my team. I'm intrigued by the slight pitch mix changes. He seems to be throwing two versions of a curve. James Shiano and I talked about this on the Q&A today, where it's like, I think Brent Strom is a really good pitching coach. And I think that he's made some interesting changes to Andrew Heaney. Plus, Andrew Heaney's now pitching in a park that mitigates his home run risk, which was a little bit of his biggest red flag. And so I'm not thinking Andrew Heaney is like, hey, he's going to be legit for you all year. But even the other version, the previous iterations of Andrew Heaney have been worth holding when he's pitching well. And he has always had streaks like this every year. And so if we're getting a slightly better version of that Andrew Heaney, not much, but a slightly better, then maybe he's somebody who, is a priority streamer in a 12-team league, stays on your roster in a 15-team league where you're picking the matchups. But I dig what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, that priority streamer, that seems about right. Tyler Anderson's right above him, so there you go.
Yeah. And Colin Ray, man, listen, Colin Ray has leash in this rotation because Javier Assad just had a setback in his rehab assignment. Ben Brown is going to be the first to go, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Because that last start was not good, and I don't think he's a starter. And Colin Ray, they have him throwing his fastball 50% of the time now. They're just like, hey, throw these fastballs. He's switched up the pitch mix a little bit. Again, another guy where I don't think they've discovered something great. But Colin Ray was pretty good last year, and he's now in a rotation for one of the best teams in baseball, and maybe you'll be able to use him more often than you thought.
Yeah, the defense is really good behind him, and that certainly helps. And if there's enough strikes, he'll have a chance. I don't really buy it, but that's one story. And then with Andrew Heaney, you should watch the video I made of him against the Angels, because he throws 89 down the middle at 3-0, and Zach Neto whiffs at it. And it doesn't compute, Eric. It just doesn't. I don't know what he's done to this fastball that all of a sudden now it's really hard to hit. And I've tried to look into this, and I'm just like, I don't quite get it. And sometimes that means that there's something sticky. When it's so weird like that, I can't quite lean in. So I implore everybody who's curious about Andrew Heaney, go watch this. I have my YouTube channel. We're almost at 10,000 subs, by the way. So go check these out. I do them every weekday. All these pitcher breakdowns.
Can I ask you, is it so much harder to hit?
It wasn't that game.
Right. It's the ICR is up over 4% on the year on the four-seamer.
Sure.
Swinging strike rate is up only 2%. So I don't know that it's that much harder to hit.
Well, my point is
maybe in that game for sure.
Well, right. My point in the matter is that it should be far worse. This is an 89 mile per hour fastball now for Andrew Heaney. And I'm trying to tell you that he's getting away with things.
Yeah.
And it's I see that and I go, how? And
like
that's really it with me. It's
looks like slightly more
right.
horizontal
Yeah,
break.
exactly. This
Slightly
whole
more
thing is
horizontal
weird. But
break.
I do think the
Yeah.
point you made about PNC Park is a good one. And there may be something to that of limiting home runs for Andrew Heaney, as that has been the biggest issue in the past. And yes, he goes on these heaters. So this could very well be one. You want to tell me, is Andrew Heaney going to be a guy that consistently is on your rosters? Sure, maybe as random streams, but I don't feel like you're going to be pumping your fists because you were the guy that added Andrew Heaney.
Sure. I agree on that one. I will say, I was going to say he's using the sinker way more to lefties, and maybe that's helping the four-seamer against lefties, but the four-seamer is getting crushed by lefties. So that sinker usage not helping the four-seamer at all. So who knows? Couldn't tell you.
Who knows?
We'll figure it out. Maybe I'll do a deep dive. We'll give it a look-see.
Yeah.
We'll give a look-see on all these pitchers on the top 100 next week as well. I'll be at the Mets game on Thursday.
Nice.
Seeing maybe I'll talk to Zach Gallen. It's gonna be the Diamondbacks. We'll see what's going on. We'll see who wants to sit down, or not sit down because I stand up, but you know what I mean. You can follow us on Twitter. I am Samsky NYC. Nick is at Pitcherlist. Follow us on Blue Sky. We're over there as well. I am Eric Smolsky, the Pelican.
I am Nick Pollock, the Lion.
And I'm gonna go brush up on my gifts a little bit.